All right, thank you guys. Welcome back to another vlog with And Moving Forward. My name is Chynel. I'm with Chapter 28 Beauty.
I'm Ronai with Anomaly the Agency, and we have a very special guest today. We have Miss Lomax from straight out of Colorado. Yeah, tell us about yourself, Lo.
So my name is Lomax. I'm originally from California, but I now reside in Denver, Colorado. So today what we're going to talk about a little bit is about my modeling career. It's fairly new, but pretty successful so far. Having a little bit
Yes.
of that. So kind of how I got into it was my sister models in LA, and so I kind of liked what she was doing, the creativity that it brings to the table, and all that stuff as well. But I liked being able to represent the brands and stuff that I shop and the brands that I like, and just a different nature instead of just buying the clothes to support, but actually being able to kind of like free advertise and all that stuff for them, and hopefully one day work with them and stuff as well. I definitely like it that it invokes that creative side of me as well, to kind of pull together different pieces and definitely step out of my comfort zone. I think it's a great way to travel and a great way to meet people and just different things with it. It's definitely brought a lot of new things in my life that I don't think I would have had, just kind of off the bat of doing just the normal, like, ins and outs of every day. But
For sure. Perfect. Okay, so I've kind of seen you since day one. I remember us going to your first audition, which you killed it right off the bat. But what was like the turning point? Like, what made you realize? Because I know, as a group, we had a few discussions about like stuff like that. But what was really the turning point for you as far as, okay, I'm really gonna do this, and not only am I gonna do it, but I'm gonna go full force with it as well. Like, what was that? Where was that point in your life?
so I think going through the talent school, like I was leaning more towards acting. But when I went to one of the meetups in Denver, that's kind of what really got me into it. Just seeing the different models and being able to work with the different photographers, and then getting those photos back too. Like once I seen how great they were, I was like, this is definitely what I want to do. And so kind of from there, it just kind of took off, and it definitely like captured my attention on the different like poses and the different outfits and all that stuff. So going to the meetups with these different models and these different photographers is just really just what got me to kind of like full force go into it. Like I want to do this all the time. And then also like being able to shoot with different people, seeing the different themes and seeing like the different edits and all the photos, everything is so different. So it's almost just like capturing some magic like in person, but getting it back and you're like, wow, like I did not expect the photo to come out that great as it did. So definitely meeting new people, trying new things, and getting those photos back, seeing how well they came, definitely convinced me to put both feet in.
Wonderful. Yeah, I mean, and it's definitely in your nature and your spirit. You're definitely an outgoing person, just from jump. So I think that's a great outlet for you. And I know you had mentioned Meetup. Now, I don't know. I think for cities like Colorado and maybe Virginia, I'm not sure. Do you use Meetup out there,
Yeah, there's Meetup out here, but I mean, a lot of older people use it. I would say I hear a lot of people like who, yeah, definitely the older crowd who are like they just want to get out and about and they want to meet somebody, so they'll use Meetup. But I don't really know our age, if there's anybody out here trying to meet up on that. Yeah, with yeah.
Well, I know because
So
I was in Colorado, they were using it heavily, and I was using it too, just to go to like little functions, to support certain events. But out here, I really haven't even thought about searching it because I just don't think we're there yet. And just knowing everybody is kind of like, I'd rather just text you like,
Right.
whatever. But no, I think that when you mentioned it, I was like, you know what, that's a great idea. And just for anybody who's aspiring to get into the modeling industry in general and to work with photographers, and for photographers out here, we have a lot of really good photographers. And so I'm wondering if they have those resources, or if they even know that they're available.
absolutely, I think the meetups is definitely a good way to even like if you're starting like your own studio and stuff like that as well. But I know they have them in a few different other cities, and Denver they have two big ones, and I know they have a few other ones. But people literally come from like the Springs, which is an hour away from Denver, or down from Fort Collins, which is an hour and stuff as well, to go to these meetups because that's a really good way to meet other photographers, to meet other models, to even do like a little bit of videography and stuff as well, and then to really like establish those connections with different people, because people who come like they also own their own studios, and so they'll be like, hey, like I would love to shoot one-on-one with the studio and all that stuff too. But there's been a few of them that people have came from out of state. Like a lot of the photographers I've met, they moved to Denver, and that's how they met other people, was going to these meetups. So it's definitely helpful for people who are new and people who are definitely getting into it, and then also to kind of support your business and stuff as well.
For sure.
How do you like when you go to a meetup? Is it like a mixer? Like what goes on at a meetup?
So the meetups, some meetups will be certain themes, and another meetup. So like there was one where it was like monochrome. There was one where like if we're shooting at like the Lakewood Heritage Center, which is kind of like old fashioned. You can dress for the theme or whatever, but it's like a bunch of people. They have a Facebook page. So there's one that's Denver Creates, and then one that's Sunday Night Meets. They'll have a Facebook page or an Instagram page, and they'll post like, hey, this is the day we're meeting up, this is the time that we're meeting up, and this is the location. And so you go to the location, and it's just a bunch of people, bunch of photographers, bunch of models. And then so we'll all meet up, and then we'll all introduce ourselves, and then kind of what we're here for. So we'll be like, hey, like my name's Lomax, I'm here as a model. Some people will be like, hey, I'm this person, I'm here for as a photographer or a model, or I'm here for videography. Or some people will just come to support, just to like hold outfits for people, or to be like, hey, like this area hasn't been used and stuff like that. The head of the meetings are always there and stuff too, and I know they personally have their own studios and stuff as well. So, and then you kind of just go off into whatever direction. So there was one that we did at a school, and it was like this very old-fashioned school, and it was so many different layers and stuff. And so you'll just grab a photographer, or a photographer will grab you, and they're like, hey, like let's go shoot, and you have your outfits and all that stuff. So you just go shoot wherever, and then when you want to do an outfit change, do an outfit change, find another photographer. So,
Oh
but
wow.
there's some of them where it's so heavy photographers or it's so heavy models that the ratio is a little off. So there was one that we had did, and it was in Rhino, which is the art district, and it's kind of like a smaller area. So it's kind of, everybody was kind of on top of each other, but you can definitely walk a few blocks with a few different photographers to get some different shots. So sometimes it's like photographer shooting over photographer, but when you have like those smaller ones, like the one at the school, it's more personalized, and you can just be with like one person, or you can be with two photographers. You can shoot one way, and then you can switch to the other one, and it's like, hey, since we just shot against this wall, do you want to go shoot over there and kind of capture something else?
Nice. Yeah, I mean, even when you were telling me about it when you started doing that, like I just thought it was the coolest thing, like to have all of these photographers come together and have you guys just do so many different things. Like I just thought that was a really good idea, and that's why I was thinking, like, even out here, I feel like that would be a great thing to try to incorporate in the city, just because we do have great areas to shoot and we have photographers out here. So I just think that would be super cool. But so kind of diving into that, or just the idea of modeling in general, I think when people initially hear the word modeling, they automatically think skinny, or fashion, and there's certain words that come to light when you say the word, or when you show interest in that. But I think as of now, especially with the help of social apps like Instagram and things of that nature, that's really changed for a lot of people. And I know even in our discussions, talking about height and, things like that. But your thoughts, I guess, on body positivity or just body image in general in the modeling industry. What has been your experience with that? Not just with you, but just things you've seen with other people.
So Denver is definitely a good place for all heights and all different body structures, like to be accepted. LA and New York is a little bit different. They're more looking for that cookie cutter of height and skinny and all that stuff. But I think it's definitely changing, and it's like you're seeing more plus size models, and you're seeing more ethnic models and all that stuff. It's definitely like changing for the better, especially in advertising, on media and all that stuff too. As we see that these different subject matters are being more accepted, there's kind of like a push for the industry to change. But there's always going to kind of be that original, you need a 5'9", 5'11" person, to wear a certain fit or something like that. But personally, my experience shoots, all the stuff that I've done as well, and I've also met a lot of models who were plus size that were signed and stuff as well to to agencies that I tried out to that I couldn't get signed, for being, or they just weren't looking for my body type too, which like makes me feel really good too, because I would like everybody to be accepted,
Right.
kind of be a part of the community. But I've definitely seen, like, I know being ethnic in Denver definitely helps. So when I went to try out for Denver Fashion Week, that was probably like the most eye-opening, because there was probably, I think at the very last round, there was, I don't know, 200, 300 girls in the same room, and it was just anything and everything you can think of. There was, girls with blonde curly hair and blue eyes. There was girls who looked like me. There was fit girls. There was tall girls. There was skinny girls. There was plus size girls. It was literally all shapes and all sizes, because everybody, like, fashion designers were all looking for a different thing. And so I think definitely I've done some shoots too with plus size models that I really like. They're probably the most hype, but I think it's definitely changing for the better. And you definitely see that in Denver. Like, I think Denver is going to be the place that kind of changes the game for everybody else.
Right. And so that kind of brings up a good point, because I think, again, like when you think of modeling, you do think of places like New York and LA. I think those are the top two that always tend to come to mind for people. So do you feel like it was a better choice that you made for yourself starting in Colorado, or do you wish you would have maybe started in another city at all?
So I think Colorado is definitely a good fit. I think if I were to change locations for LA or New York, I would have to go for something different. Especially in California, I feel like more of like fitness and like fashion, and New York is probably fashion. Like, I don't think I would really fit too well in New York, like, because they're high fashion, so they're looking for that height, you know. But I think if it was like for something maybe a little bit different, more of editorials, more of things that don't really require height, that's where I would have to kind of make that switch personally to kind of fit that game over there.
For sure. For sure.
So Denver
And
has
can you?
I said, so Denver has definitely been a blessing.
Okay. Cool. And can you kind of go into like what a day looks like when you're going for a shoot, like when you're going to a modeling shoot, or you're going for an audition or anything like that? Can you kind of give us the ins and outs as much as you can, as to what somebody could expect as a new model trying to get into the game, just kind of what a day looks like?
What a day looks like. So a typical day for shooting is, depending on what I'm shooting, I'll prep for the week. So if I have a shoot on Saturday and it's boudoir, depending on what the photographer is looking for, whether it's going to be soft boudoir or regular boudoir, that's how I'm going to determine what kind of outfit. I'll talk to them, coordinate with them, and see, hey, like, what are you looking to shoot this? Like, are you looking for a certain color theme? How much skin? And then also kind of like their style of shooting. So, you don't want to bring like all black and white if like their style of shooting is colors or something like that. Like, I just recently did one. It's a projector, and so the certain clothing that I had to wear had to be something that could be projected on. So if I had wore something that was like purple and we were projecting blue and orange, then that probably wouldn't have looked the greatest. And so for auditions with runway, you always want to wear something tight and something black, because they want to see the curve of your body. Because for fashion week specifically, they wanted a black tank top and black pants and some heels. And you want to wear heels that you can walk in. You don't want to wear 6-inch heels that you're going to stumble in. They want to see you walk the way that you're normally going to walk. So always wear the heels that you're most comfortable in, and also practice walking in them, so you know what it's like to turn. You know what it's like to kind of make that quick adjustment if you're going left and right. And so for that, they're either going to say, hey, come fresh face, or they're going to say, come camera ready. So coming camera ready is, you have your makeup on, your hair is done. If you're coming fresh face, then it's either no makeup or it's light makeup. So they don't want to see,
Nothing too heavy.
Stuff. They want to see your face as is. And it's important for that, because specifically referring to Fashion Week, is like, you're not going to always see your face. Some people want a mask. Some people are going to paint your face to fit the outfits. And but they want to see what you actually look like. They don't want to see the blue contacts in, or they want to see your natural hair as is, to see what they're working with, because there's so many different designers who are bringing so many different things. And they kind of want to know, like, okay, this model is going to fit this, and this is how I can twerk it, and this is how I can change it in different ways. So, and definitely for shoots as well, like, bring more than one outfit. For me, like, I see some shoots, some people bring 1-2 outfits, but personally, if you're shooting with somebody, always bring at least 3 to 4 outfits, because then you have 3 to 4 different looks in one day. I'd also say too, with like the poses and stuff, like, practice your poses, practice and practice and practice in front of the mirror, and then turn away from the mirror, do the pose, turn back to the mirror. Did I get it right? So like when you're at the shoot and like you want to do different poses for different outfits. So like if I know I'm wearing a suit, the same pose that is going to look good for a suit isn't necessarily going to look good for a skirt or a dress. So
right.
it's important to kind of know which poses are going to look good. And so when you get in front of the camera, you know which way off the bat like to go to, instead of kind of thinking and then getting in that uncomfortable mode of like, well, I don't know what to do because I've done all my poses. You want to like just have different ones. You know, me personally, I Google poses all the time. I look at those poses because I like those weird shapes that they make, and you always want to make shapes with your stuff. And I definitely think that ties in to outfit, because you know you have to have the pose to make the outfit look good. It's like it works together.
For sure. I mean, it's basically like, you know, the models that you see in the catalogs, you know what I mean? Like when they're, you know, whether it's lingerie or it's full blown outfits, you know, that's definitely a fact there. And so obviously you're team natural. So do you see that a lot in the industry?
All the time. Yeah. Like
Okay.
literally like anytime I go shoot like at a meet or something, or I just go somewhere. Not a lot of people have curly hair, and not a lot of people wear their natural curly hair out. So it's always okay, like you have a different look, you know. It's because you know you can pull different looks with curly hair, because you know if you can put it up, you can put it down, you can change your curl pattern, versus like straight hair, you know, kind of working with what you got. You can style it, but you style it so much. You know, you straight hair all the time. So curly hair is definitely it's different. So I get a lot of good feedback from it.
Oh, that's good.
Good.
I had a question. I have a few questions actually. Nerves. I'm sure when you're getting ready to do, even going to the meets and getting ready to do audition, I'm sure you get nervous in some way. What are some ways that you cope with that, you know, anxiety or whatever, the stress that builds up in that process of going on?
So I do get nervous, but what I do like to prepare, and I like to over prepare so that it mitigates that. So you know, for fashion week, or you know, for a shoot or something, I'll practice and practice and practice until I feel comfortable. And so that way, I'm not as nervous. Like I know nerves are just kind of, they come natural to everybody. But also another thing too is talking with the photographer will help. Like you guys need to be on the same page. So you need to have that vibe. You know, you need to talk to them. You have to be able to take their direction. You have to be able to give them feedback too, like, hey, I think this would look good as well. And so when you just go like, and you're just shooting with somebody and you don't have that connection, I feel like it's awkward, and then you're just like, well, I don't know what looks good. Right. I don't know if this pose looks okay, because to me, I know what it looks like head on, but I don't know what it looks like through that small screen in the camera. You know, I don't know if they're standing at the right angle that I think what it's going to look like. So definitely preparation and communication help mitigate that. And then, you know, for runway, practicing. Like that night that I did before the audition, you know, when we sat at the table and outside, had me walk over and over and over again. That definitely boosts my confidence, and I know what I'm doing when I get out there. I know how fast to walk and all that stuff as well. So preparation definitely helps mitigate the nerves.
Yeah, because for me, I'm definitely drinking a glass of wine or something. Like there's, you know what I mean? Like I gotta do something. That's what it like. Yeah, but that's good. I think that's important. I mean, even just in general, even if you're not nervous, I think it's important to know who you're working with and just be as prepared as possible. So that's
you have to be confident too. I mean, you gotta be your own hype man. Like you can't. I mean, it's nice. Like you gonna have people like you, but you gotta hype yourself up. You gotta like. When I was at week and I seen all those girls, I was like, these women are so beautiful. But I was like, I deserve to be here too. Like, yes, some of them are prettier, they cute and stuff. But you know what? Like, so am I. Like, you know, you got to be your own hype man, because sometimes you're not gonna be able to make that phone call. Sometimes you're not gonna be able to have that text or whatever. And I definitely text and I call Ronai and I'm like, hey man, come here real quick. But like,
I'd be like, you
got
this.
Like I gotta tell myself I'm cute. Like I got this. Like I'm here for a reason. I deserve to be here just like everybody else. So you have to have confidence in yourself, and even in your own skin, in your own body too. You got to know that what you have is beautiful, and don't compare yourself to the next person, because if you do, then you're gonna kind of get in your head, and that's also gonna mess you up.
Yes, that's the gem right there, ladies and gentlemen. No, absolutely. I think that is, and you know, it's so easy to say like confident. You know what I mean? Like that's sometimes the most obvious answer, but at the same time, it's not so easily instilled in people. You know what I mean? I think it's something you really have to, whether you're faking it to make it in the beginning or whatever, like you really have to push yourself to believe, like, girl, you're it. You look good. Like, you know, or man, you know what I mean? Men too, but you know, whatever, like.
That's a good question. Like, how do you find confidence? Modeling is the next level confidence, I think, because you're now displaying your confidence to the world. But just finding confidence in yourself on a regular basis, like, I mean, we have confidence, obviously, but like, there's a lot of people, there's a lot of women, there's a lot of men who just don't have the confidence that they need to make the proper decisions in life. So, like, how do you think, Lomax, how do you think, what's a good way to try to find that confidence
I
in
think
yourself?
daily affirmations are good, you know, and acknowledging like the things that you like about your body. Everybody's so quick to be like, oh, you know, I wish I had 2 less inches here, or, you know, this and that. But you have to be, you only have one skin, right? You only got one body. You can't just jump into another. So you have to love yourself by telling yourself what you like. You know, like I'm not the biggest fan of my curly hair, but if it's looking good one day, I'm gonna be like, dang, these curls, you know, like they ain't popping. But I gotta keep telling myself that. I gotta keep telling myself like, this is my body and this is what I love. This is what I like. Like it can't just be like a one day thing, you know. You have to acknowledge the good things about that you have, that you possess, you know, because the next person might not. They might not have those things. And that could be the make or break. That what makes you stand
Yeah.
out and all that stuff. So I think that good hey, like I have fantastic this, I have fantastic that. And you have to, the more you say it, the more you believe, and the more things you'll start noticing about yourself that you love. And it'll also change your headspace into a more positive headspace. So if you're constantly negative and you're like, I don't like this, I don't like this, what are you telling yourself that you like, you know? And it almost becomes a habit of being negative.
Absolutely.
So when you get in that habit of being positive to yourself, it's just going to radiate to other people, and they're going to see that as well. And you're be like, I told myself I was beautiful yesterday. I'm thank you for noticing, you know. So I think definitely you gotta tell yourself, and you have to learn to like every nook and cranny that you love about yourself. I mean, everything that you have about yourself, because it might not necessarily be the greatest, you know, like nobody likes armpit hair, but if I grow armpit hair, you know what? I like it. It's my hair, you know.
Right.
So it's like you gotta learn to love the good and the bad, and if you don't like it, then change it. If you want a six pack, go get it. Don't just keep saying, "Hey, I don't like the way my stomach looks or this and that." If you want it, go get it. You know?
I know that's right.
Yeah. I would definitely say that one of the things for me as a service provider and a stylist and things of that nature, I meet a lot of different people. And when they sit in my chair, the first thing I ask them, and I learned this from another stylist, I seen one day and she said, okay, so, you know, the client comes in and she's complaining and she looks a mess and she's like, I'm just sick of this. And the stylist asked, okay, so what do you like about your hair? So what do you like about your hair? What do you like about your style? Starting with that first, and it gets people thinking like, oh shit, what do I like about? Okay, well, I like my length, you know, but I don't know if I need some layers or it's just drowning me out or whatever, you know. And that's such a good place to start if you're, first off, if you're somebody who's impacting somebody else on a regular basis. Ask them, start with, well, what do you like about the situation? If they're like, okay, for Ronai, you know, and she's doing websites and she's doing PR. So what do what do you want to showcase about yourself? What do you love about yourself? It's very hard for people to see what they love in themselves. It's really hard for them. So yes, like you said, daily reminder, daily affirmations if you need it, you know, to constantly tell yourself that you are worth it. You are very much so supposed to be where you're at, and when you're there, and just believe in that moment, in every moment, actually. Yeah.
Yeah. And even just adding to that, you know, it's so funny that you say that, because I remember in grad school, I had to do a video like that. And I got a bunch of people together and I asked them, like, I think it was like, name 3 things you love about yourself. And the video was just on point because a lot of the reaction was, and so like there's a good portion of the video where we're just capturing everybody's hesitant, like, you know, and like some people were just like, that's a hard question. And like even after recording that, you know, some people were just like, wow, Ronai, like you really got me thinking. And what's crazy is at that point, I couldn't even answer the question. That's why I chose to do the video. And so somebody at the end was like, okay, well, what about you? And I was like, I'm not sure if I can. And so from that day, I was kind of like, no, that was the kind of the point of the video. But I think, you know, just to say, like, take that time. And I think, you know, in that period of time, I was also still getting to know myself. And like now, I just know me, I'm very comfortable with me. And I think that's also very important. You got to know yourself. You got to trust yourself. You got to believe in yourself. Even on your worst days, we all have our horrible days. Let's be clear that, none of this is to say you're not going to have a day where you're just like, oh no, I'm done with me today. Like, we all have those moments. Let's be clear. But it's also important, like Lomax said, to, get into those daily affirmations, whether at first it sounds corny, you know what I mean? When you're reading things off of your, your bathroom mirror or whatever the case may be, and you're kind of just like, what? Like, this sounds crazy. And then after a while, though, listening to, positive podcasts or, calling a friend and just talking, about some positive stuff, like that's all really important. And it's all necessary. And, surrounding yourself with positivity every way you can. There's going to be a lot of people, I think, that naturally just are hesitant to that. And that's also because they don't know themselves and they don't feel like that about themselves either.
Right.
And, that's when you kind of just got to keep a distance for a little bit. You know what I mean? Because what you're doing here, whether it is modeling or starting a business or just taking care of people in general, whatever it is you're doing, you have to believe that you can actually pull it off. You know what I mean? Because without that level of confidence, even just a smidge of that. So mainly I think, just going back to what Lomax said about daily affirmations and just making sure, no matter what your day is looking like that day, whether you're really feeling yourself or you're not feeling yourself at all, it's really important to just maintain that level of communication with yourself. I have days where I wake up and I'm like, this ain't it today, but we're always going to bounce back. And let's be clear, you are it. It doesn't matter if you're not having a good day, you're still it at the end of this. You know what I mean? And I think it's really hard. And I think, again, a lot of it comes from just knowing yourself, being comfortable with yourself, being comfortable in your own skin, no matter what your size or shape or anything is. That's what it's all about. And it goes further than, a modeling career or anything. It's just in general, you know what I mean? No matter what you decide to do in this life, you only have this one life, so you might as well love yourself, throughout the journey. I think that's the most important thing, because then you're opening up opportunities for other people to see you for who you really are and to love you. And it's just really important. It's just really important to have that, to maintain that positivity no matter what, for sure.
Absolutely.
So, well, one of the other things is really big. I mean, it ties into confidence, but like body positivity. Lomax, I know that's a good thing to touch on, especially with you being, a model. How do you feel about body positivity, and what can you share with our viewers who have issues with that?
I think one thing personally that I probably struggle with, that I kind of have to tell myself, like, hey, it's okay, is height, because I'm short, so I'm 5'4". And so kind of having to acknowledge that, hey, I'm not going to be generally what people are looking for. I'm going to fit into a category some way, somehow, that somebody is looking for. So with body positivity, I definitely say, like kind of what we were saying, like being comfortable in your own skin. So if you don't like something, change it. And so for me, like, I first wanted to be a fitness model, but I was like, I don't really work out. I'm not that fit. So I was like, I probably should kind of change, what I'm into or what I'm going for, unless I'm going to keep up with that fitness and all that stuff. But I just think it's important to you have to be comfortable in your skin, and you have to be okay with what you have, like, if you have big boobs or you have small boobs or you have, short legs or you have long arms, like, you have to make it work for you and, like, let that be your niche.
Right.
So if you have, big hair, or if you're bald or something, you absolutely have to embrace it.
Yes. Own it. Own it.
But I think definitely just the daily affirmations and just taking care of yourself is huge. Very huge.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Perfect. And so I guess with that, what are your goals, as far as, with the modeling? And, I know you had mentioned a little bit in the beginning that you were initially interested in acting, things of that nature. But aside from that, what are your goals with, modeling in general? Where are you hoping to see yourself in the future, in the near future?
So I definitely would love to do runway, but I kind of just have to be real with myself that it'll be every now and then that I'll do runway, because they generally do have that height requirement. But even with Denver Fashion Week, I mean, I got booked with that, and that's runway as well. So I would love to do that, but I think more what I'm leaning towards, what I'll have more success in, is going to be more of editorials, fashion designs for, magazines and stuff like that, or even I don't know. Yeah, I would definitely say editorials. But one thing that I really would love to model is women's suits, and so that's really what I would like to push for, and that's more of what the style I'm going to start getting into, because it's not something that you see often, and I feel like that's a really great style. It's a great fashion peak as well, because you can have so many different suits, and women wear them, but you just don't see them as often. So I would really like to break into that industry and kind of be the spotlight for that. But I would
Sure.
love to make it a full-time job where I can travel and I can work, and I want to be doing it every day as much as I can. But I didn't quit my day job so far, so
Well, that's
one
smart.
day though. I just gotta
And
keep pushing.
so, if we haven't mentioned it already, so Lomax is actually officially signed. And
Yes.
so what would you say as
So
far as
dope.
that? I guess what that looks like any advice you could give somebody if, they're being offered any sort of contract, like what are some things based on your experience
Yes,
that you would
yes.
recommend?
So look into your agency. Like, I'm always sitting around agencies and stuff, and she'll tell me, hey, this looks real and all that stuff. But look into the agency, see if you support what they're about. You don't want to be signed to an agency that if you don't want to wear fur and they're booking all these fur things, like look into the agency, do your history on it, look into who else is signed there. Like, so for Denver, there's a bunch of different ones, and there was one in particular that I almost signed with, but I'm glad I didn't, because I feel like the communication wasn't there, the love wasn't there. It wasn't personalized. It wasn't that one on one. It was kind of just like your body in their agency. They didn't really. You're,
Right.
I don't know. They didn't like. I just didn't care. Before you decide to reach out to somebody. If you know somebody and they're with their agency, like say Wilhelmina or NXT or JC or something like that. If you can find somebody, like everybody has websites, and so you can look up their models and you can message them. Like sometimes they'll answer, sometimes they don't. I know people message me for ambassador brands that I am for, and I'll tell them, hey, like I do not like this brand or I do like this brand, and do the same with agencies. Like if you if you're okay with reaching out to somebody and being like, hey, what are your thoughts on it? Like, do you wish you did sign with them? What's the contract like? And so you want the contract to fit you as well. Like you don't want to do like, say if they're trying to sign you full time, but you can only work part time. So be real with them, work with them one on one, communicate with them. If you don't like something in the contract, just say it. If you don't get signed to the agency, then maybe the agency wasn't for you. There's so many agencies nowadays that if somebody says no and it doesn't fit for you, just move on to the next one. I've definitely been denied from some for not having the height or for not being the body type that they're looking for, and it was like, okay, that's fine. Like there's a million other ones, but you definitely want that professionalism, that communication, and you want it to be legit. You don't want to be signed to somebody who's not a legit agency and they're just sticking around,
Scamming you for money.
getting you booked and not giving you the money and stuff like that. So you definitely need to be aware of if they're real or not, and you can simply do that by talking to their models and by doing a little research.
How did you become signed? Like, how did you even go about? I know you did your research on like the agencies, but then like, what do? You just reach out, give them your portfolio. Like, how did that work?
So, um, I met a lot of Wilhelmina Denver models, and I also met some NXT models, and I also met one for Donna Baldwin as well, a few of them. And I always have a sit down with them, and I'm like, hey, do you mind if we can have coffee or something, and I can kind of talk to you one on one about your agency? What do you like about it? What's the pros and cons about it? Pretty much, and they'll be like straight up, like people are always going to tell you the truth. If they don't like their agency, they're going to tell you they don't like their agency. They love it, they'll tell you they love it. And so, trying to think back to what your question was.
Well, just like for instance, for somebody who doesn't have meetups, basically, for somebody who
Oh,
doesn't
okay.
have, a pool of people that they can actually, like you're doing, pulling them, sitting
Yeah.
down, and having a legit conversation.
So talking to them and knowing their agencies, I went and did some research, and then I sat down and I talked to them. When I applied for different ones, like for the one that I'm signed to, specifically on their website, what they were looking for was fitness models, and they were looking for the measurements that I had. So I submitted my portfolio to them. I didn't get a chance to meet them in person because we have the whole COVID thing and all that stuff. But, they very communicated, hey, we'll call you this day. Let's talk over things. I'll see you in the contract. Don't sign it at first. Look through it. I want you to be solid before you sign it and know that, like, hey, these are the requirements. Do you fit them? You know, do you like them? Does this work for you? Um, so with mine, they were like very communicative and all that stuff, and I just happened to be what they were looking for. There's some models. I watch a lot of videos on how people got signed too, where it's just been right place, right time, you know, or just kind of knowing that people like Donna Baldwin is a very small one as well. That's in Denver, but it's also in New York. And one of the girls signed to that. She just knew somebody, was really good friends with them, who actually knew the agency head. And so they had a meeting, and then she ended up getting signed and stuff with them. But usually have that sit down with agencies, like, you know, so go in there. Like Wilhelmina Denver has the casting ones where you can go every Monday. Go in, see if you like the vibe, talk to the people, you know? And so I think that's also important. You know, you can apply and you can send your portfolio and all that stuff, but before you sign anything, I would highly recommend going in there and seeing if you like them. See if you like them face to face, because anybody can be nice over the phone, anybody can be nice in email, but do you get that right vibe from them as well?
Perfect.
Absolutely. Yes.
And I will add to that too, because I've been, you know, able to kind of, you know, like she had mentioned, help out wherever I can as well. And so one of the things that we did work on together was one of the online portfolios that she does have. Um, and that's just a matter of research as well. You know what I mean? Like doing your research, reading reviews, making sure they're legitimate portfolios, you know, whatever. But they do have online things for that. And then also something that we've discussed too is just coming up with your, you know, creating a little website and just having
Yep.
a bunch of your pictures. You know what I mean? They're looking for multiple different, you know, shots, you know, of course, headshot, you know, full body, side view.
Yeah.
And you know, so even just doing that, you know what I mean? Just putting something together, even if it's short, simple, and sweet, straight to the point, you know, just something for them to refer to, which I think a lot of people might love that even more just because we're living in, of course, a digital era. So, you know, that's definitely something you can do. But you can also, you know, luckily we have you on, you know, is it okay? Like if we have any of our viewers that are like, hey, I would love to get in contact with her. Is it okay if we have them, you know,
Yes,
follow
hit
you on
me up. Hit
Instagram
me
or
up.
reach out? Okay.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think also having a website for yourself is very important. It's been the make or
Yeah.
break for a lot of things, personally for me. And I know that some people, it's helped them a lot, you know, because you know when you're actually submitting your portfolio to different companies or different even ambassador brands for stuff, they'll ask you for your website if you have your own website. And having your own website shows that you're taking it serious, that you actually have a done portfolio, and that you have, hey, this is my reference page. I'm keeping up with my shoots. I'm keeping up with updating my profile and stuff. So having that website definitely will help you establish, like, hey, I'm a serious model. I'm not just like on Instagram and Facebook and all that stuff.
Right.
That is actually dope.
Perfect. Perfect. All right. Did you have any more questions, Chynel?
Um, um, I did. I did. Do you have a mentor?
Do I have a mentor? Specifically speaking for modeling, no.
Okay.
There's a lot of models that I look at that I follow, like either on Instagram or in magazines and all that stuff. I really love Gigi Hadid just because she's positive, and
Yeah.
she's definitely like her own, like she's weird, you know. She's not
Yes.
typical, like she's not vapid or, you know, just she's like very loving and all that stuff. So I definitely look up to how she does things, and I love, like, after I seen her do like this Adidas shoot, it was very weird poses, and so that's kind of what made me follow her. So I like looking at her stuff. I like looking at a lot of the um, African models as well, because it's just a whole different like vibe they bring
Yeah.
to the table with the different colors, the different makeup, the different ways that they pose and all that stuff too. But I'd say speaking like just one-on-one, no, I more lean on close friends and all that stuff for mentorship.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So case in point, Phil, you got to have a squad that supports you
Yeah.
no matter what you're doing.
Absolutely, definitely, you have to have people support you.
Absolutely. Beautiful. Well, thank you again
Yes.
for coming on. And so I guess kind of to wrap up, if there is kind of one piece of advice, one thing you could end this vlog with, what would it be? What would you say to people that are interested in this industry?
Preparation, communication, and self-love.
Yeah.
Those are the three things that you absolutely have to you have to have.
Yes. Love it. Emphasis on self-love. Super important.
Yes. I'm writing it down.
Perfect.
Self-love.
Excellent.
Okay. Well, I'm sorry, Lomax. I just want to say thank you
yeah.
for coming on because this is different for me. I don't think I have too many friends that are models or anything like that. It can shed light on that industry in itself, especially at the beginning stage, because I'm sure when we speak to you again, you're going to be on a whole nother level, and we'll make sure of that. Yeah, definitely. So appreciate you for coming on and sharing everything that you know about this industry and then what it takes to stay in this industry. Do you feel like you're going to be in the industry for a while? Do you feel like this is exactly what you want your career to be?
This is definitely something I want to do for the long haul, and I want to make it, and I want to make it, and I want to help change the industry for all different types of models. So I'm open.
Okay,
Perfect.
All right, thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate it. Much love.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much for coming on. Again, everybody, vlog number 10, Ronai with Anomaly the Agency.
Chynel with Chapter 28 Beauty and our special guest.
Yes, be on the lookout. We will have her contact information and also follow her on Instagram. Her contact information for her reps, is on there as well. But thank you so much and moving forward until next time.
Bye.
Bye.